we need to talk. Today, I'll share more about my connection with things like pain, sleep, not sleeping, yoga, meditation, and overall movement. After my accident, there are things I can remember and there are things I still can't remember. For instance, I cannot remember the moment it happened. The neurologist said that my brain um, protected me by deleting that part of the impact right before and right after it happened. So I am, till this day, grateful that my brain protected me and spared me from reliving that trauma endlessly over and over again. So, what I do remember is I think about 20 minutes before it happened, waving at my son, kissing him goodbye, getting on my scooter, and driving off. Then, nothing, just blackness, no memory. Um, so, not even the 20 minutes I was non responsive, not the ambulance, and not the trip to the hospital. I can't remember anything, just one thing, the pain. And not just pain, screaming, scorching pain. And the moment I opened my eyes, I was in a white, sterile room. I felt like I got literally ran over by a truck. Of course, I got hit by a car. I got drains in my body, beeping machines, people in white coats, just, faces of people I now remember, but I didn't remember then. They were scared and terrified. And the pain, it was like, it wasn't in my muscles. It felt like it was breaking my bones. It was excruciating pain I've never felt before, like in my nerves, in my cells. And I apparently blacked out again. So it was that bad. And yes, I survived the car accident with not just chronic traumatic brain injury, but also that pain. So the good and the bad things about this is that I've been living this aftermath every day for a decade ever since. So I'm still here. And this isn't a how to heal episode or me telling you how to heal. This is just me talking and telling my truth about what came after. So let me start with the pain first. I woke up with pain in the hospital. I wake up with pain now. I walk with pain. I talk with pain. I teach yoga with pain. I talk to you now with pain. But the first 3 years, now we're a decade on, the first 3 years, I must admit, I barely sleep because of it. My couch became my bed. And for the first, I think, 2 years, because it was closer to the bathroom, because walking and climbing out of my bed was impossible. I couldn't get up. It took me about 20 minutes. And then getting to the bathroom, from the bedroom to the bathroom, took me another 10 minutes. So staying on the couch saved me, I think, 10 minutes, 10 minutes of pain. So where was my pain? My pain was in my neck. My pain was in my shoulder. My pain is in my back. My pain is in my right shoulder blade. And it's been there ever since that day. It just never left my side. It's always here. And if I don't work with it on a daily basis, and if I don't do anything with my body, it just lingers on and it spreads like a cancer, infecting every part of my being. It's just horrible. So in the 10 years, I discovered some things that really helped me stay within my pain so I could handle things and I could be normal. things like yoga, body work, meditation, going to the gym. And then after 3 years, I think running like my life depended on it. And I don't do these things because I became like a health freak. I do them because if I stop, my body locks up, the pain screams louder and louder and louder, and it feels like it wants to kill me, or at least break me. In the beginning, some nights, I just, it woke me up. Like sometimes something, it felt like somebody was kicking me in the back or jamming hot rods or needles into my neck and shoulder blade. Or I had such a headache, like somebody was pushing his thumbs into my eyes. Like it was horrible. And for years, I worked on healing myself, knowing that to really heal, I needed to get rest. And even when sleeping, it wasn't restful. How do you heal from a day and not get rest? I go to the how do you call it? Physicist for 27 times a year. I don't do that out of a luxury. It is my body that needs that. It's the survival. I, if I don't go, the pain gets worse and worse. And I try not to, be defined by pain. But I know I am, but it is there 24/7. On days, it tries to take me back into self-pity. It, makes me want to vanish, even if it's just for a second. Now I know I have to breathe, I have to move, and I remind myself I am still here. And I've learned to bend with it so I won't break. So, what I said, pain and sleep and pain, nobody warned me about this. They told me about my memory loss. They told me about my speech. They told me about all the other issues, the emotional regulations, the roller coasters. But nobody told me about the nights. And if you don't sleep and you just stare at the ceiling for hours and hours and hours trapped in your body, and it will not stop hurting, and your mind won't stop screaming, it is horrifying. My couch and later my bed became like a battleground. Every night I needed to go to sleep. Every position, it would hurt. I would lay down, it would hurt. I would move, it would hurt. I would twist, it would hurt. It was hell. Even when my body finally found peace, my mind just raged on. And when I did sleep, the night terrors were horrible. It wasn't about monsters or fights or war or blood, or it were just fragments of a life that I couldn't remember, faces and places I couldn't remember. And the sounds, they were so loud, it would like feel like cracking my mind and my brain open, and I would wake up gasping for air, soaking in sweat. And I would slowly try to get up or sit on the side of the bed, composing myself for 10, 20, 30 minutes, and then try to walk to the shower, take a shower, and then I start pacing in my living room. I was like a zombie until dawn, and sometimes I was just crying all night, and I didn't know why. The new day would start, and I would just, like I told you in the other stories before, I would smile like everything was fine, even if I hadn't slept for 3 or 4 or 5 days. And I tried everything, and to fall asleep, and the painkillers, they didn't work, magnesium didn't work, melatonin didn't work, prescription drugs didn't work, podcast didn't work, white noise, brown noise, black noise, silence, nothing worked. The nights just felt like the days were taunting me. Like you think you can heal during the day? Wait until it gets dark. For 3, 4 years, sleep was war. At 3 a.m., 4 a.m., confusion, shame, humiliation would just crawl in. Why can't I just be normal? Why am I so broken? Now, like years later, what I learned is that healing isn't just daytime work. My deepest and hardest battles were at 4 a.m. Just me, the dark, silence, my breath, and faith in living. Stop fighting sleep and just breathe. Breathe in, breathe out again and again. Breathing helped me so much, and it became like a mantra to me. So weeks passed, months passed until focusing mainly on my breath while, laying in my bed, trying to softly quiet the mind and the surface. I hope you get it. Like a whisper, it's not just about fighting with sleeping. I needed to find my reconnection with it, with sleep, not just to the body, but to something deeper, like a rhythm. I needed to find my rhythm back, the rhythm that changed that day and was gone. So the moment I started working on that reconnection with that rhythm, is when strange enough, I got an email from World Peace Yoga School. Is it a coincidence? Mm, you know, a quiet internal voice was this time louder than all my pain, my fears, my egos together. And it said, reply, call this yoga school. So I did. And that conversation, that changed my life, that changed everything. So I didn't go to India to find myself. I went there because my brain and my body were broken. So after my TBI, I learned that recovery wasn't linear. Um, Still, no one told me that, life and my body and my mind would become strangers to me. So the person I talked to, Guru Vishnu at World Peace Yoga School, I think he was my last thread of hope. And since my rehabilitation and my psychologist told me, start living with this, um, ah, it sucked. Um, they told me it would never be the same again. It would be 70, 80% of my old self, but never better. So after, I think, emailing 60 to 70 yoga schools and Tai Chi schools, he was the only one that personally answered all my questions about my body, my brain, my injuries. And in my first phone call with him, I think we talked hours. And my final question was, what do I do now? And he said, you need to come. You need to come to India. So, and he said, let's see what's possible to heal the mind, to heal the body, and to reconnect them again. And I was just like, okay, I need to talk to my family. So I talked to my family and I asked my 8-year-old son, and he's always been, my biggest why to really heal again. And I think his reaction was, and it still is, priceless. He said, Dad, I don't want you to go because I'm going to miss you so much. But I know you have to go because you need to heal. So please go and get better. So I flew to New Delhi the next month. And yeah, it would be for 2 months from sunrise to sunset. And yoga wasn't about me learning how to bend. It was always about listening, because even my pain had a voice. So I needed to start listening. And in the morning at 6 o'clock or 6 a.m., the bell rang. I needed to take a shower. And then my Ashtanga yoga started at 7 a.m. Pranayama breathwork after that. And my legs would just tremble, even sitting down in a lotus pose. Afternoons, I needed to do cobra pose, and my hatha yoga teacher's hand would guide my neck, my shoulder, and sometimes my spine, really softly. And he always said, like, breathe into, breathe into between the cracks and through the pain, Patrick G. And I found that that worked. And my body wouldn't hurt. My brain was still foggy. And Guruji Vishnu, he always taught me, let the movement dissolve your resistance, and the mind shines a light through the fogness. It was a crazy thing for me. But by week 2, I could hold Taladasana or palm tree pose without swaying. Really tiny victories, trying to fight through the pain and feel the motion. And for the first time ever after my accident, I didn't hate my body. I didn't hate myself. I didn't hate my new self anymore. So every afternoon, I started taking walks, and I found the River Ganges, and she wasn't what I expected. She was strong, loud, chaotic, and definitely unforgiving. It was massive. It was so strong. And I found the safe part where, I could try and sit, and I see people bathing and doing their laundry, but nobody truly dared to go into the river because they were too scared of what she would do. So at that remote, quiet bend in the river, I would kneel beside the river, and Guru Vishnu, he warned me, don't force, and he called it Shakti, your energy. Let your energy move you. So my goal was to do 108 dips daily. And I started with 20, then 40, and dips meant breathe. So breathe in, go underwater, hold it, breathe out when you get out of the water, breathe in, breathe out, and that 108 times. So some days I would, need to stand fast with my foot against rocks so I wouldn't, the current wouldn't take me away. And it was so strong. It was like, sometimes it felt like it was peeling off all my old scars. And I don't know if you understand what I mean, but the first few times I reached about 70 to 80 dips, it took so much out of me, I just needed to throw up. And I need to stop, and I would cry, and I would collapse, and I would sit there in the sand. But I kept hearing Guru Vishnu tell me over and over again, Patrick G, your body is a temple. And even though yours is broken, your temple still holds the strength of God's. I understand now what he meant, but then it was just fighting against everything. Around day 30, I guess, a little skinny dog found me during my crazy dips, and he started watching me from a safe distance. And he didn't beg, he didn't bark, he was just there. He was sitting looking at me, and I was like, And maybe if I can put a photo into I don't know if that can, I'll show you the dog and me sitting with him. And the moment I started walking through the water and doing my dips a few days later, he would lay down beside my clothes or on my clothes. And after my dips, I would slowly walk there and sit cross-legged and try to, not touch him. And I would try to meditate, and he would look at me, and, he wouldn't see the frantic thoughts, or nobody would see the frantic thoughts that would go through my head, but he would be there. And the thoughts were like, why is this dog here? Will he bite me? What will the people think around me? Will this even work? Will I even work again? Will I stay broken forever? And then out of nowhere, I felt his head on my leg. And I didn't move. I just breathed in and out. And he did the same, like he was saying, just breathe. It will be okay. And around day 40, I finally did my 108 dips, and I was proud, and I was trying to meditate. And in the distance, I heard some people screaming and approaching, and their voices became louder and louder and louder. And I heard some guy say, I think at the dog, it would be at the dog. Something like, get away from him, leave him alone. Heard some people throw rocks and sticks in the water, maybe to scare him off. And at that moment, he would just, crawl closer to me or sit closer to me. I don't know how to say that. Crawl closer to me. And I would open my eyes for just a moment and look at him, and he was just staring at me. And I looked at the men, and they saw me look at them, and they went like, and they slowly walked away. Closed my eyes again, and still feeling his breath on my leg. I think from that day, that moment, I really started to meditate and feel it. Guru Vishnu said later that day, animals are like seros, holy animals. Don't know if I said it right. They don't heal you, he said, but they remind you on how to heal yourself. And a week later, something I think incredible, beautiful happened. I was mid-dip, I think. My breath was a little synchronized with the river and the rhythm, and I wasn't really counting anymore. I was just trying to, find my rhythm. And suddenly I heard a bark, and I never heard the dog bark. And I called him Brahma, and he swam right beside me that morning. And I think when I reached 108, or he thought I would drown, he barked like he just knew. So I'll keep it on 108. And after my final exam, that last class, Guru Vishnu pressed like a tilak on my forehead. It's the red dot. And he couldn't have known about what happened like that day in the water, but still, he must have felt like a change in me. And he said, and I remember it till this day, "Dear Patrick, you came here to heal your body and your brain, but you didn't heal it. And what did you do? You healed your relationship with them. And now you are ready to start trusting them again." So, my last morning in Rishikesh, India, I walked to the river to thank Brahma, the dog, to say goodbye. And he was there, and he let me pet him for the first time. And after like 5 minutes, he trotted away, and I never saw him again. And there's no drama, and it was just peace and peaceful. Even now thinking about it, it was a beautiful, beautiful thing to have in my life. Now after years, even when the MRI shows that there's still damage in my brain, I know now that if I forget a word or feel extra pain, I pause. I trust myself. I trust what I learned, what I heard, what I felt, the Ganges River, the breathing of the dog, the sounds of the wind. And somewhere in the distance, I smell Brahma, the dog. I feel his warmth, breath on my leg. So for me, it is so beautiful how healing works in so many mysterious ways. Yeah, it has been an honor to go to India and to work on myself. So before everything happened, I worked out on my body a lot, and it made me feel good, and it made me look good. And after everything happened, I now had to move my body because I have to. Because if I don't, the pain will trap me, it will lock me, and it will keep me inside of my body and give me pain. So movements became my medicine, especially after India. So strength training, even just walking, yoga, it really helps me now. And I can still remember my first real walk after what happened. And what once took me like 10 minutes took me over an hour. Every step felt like a war. But I walked. I walked through the pain, not around it, not against it, but right through it. I know now I had to learn something, excuse me, something that might sound radical. Pain is not my enemy anymore. And movements are not about dominating or discipline. It is about learning how to listen, to partner up, and to trust yourself, myself again. Now, every yoga flow, every, how do you call them? Doesn't matter. Workouts, I don't feel like I'm fixing that I'm broken. I'm just getting back to safety. Now I train because it keeps my body fit. Because if I don't, my body forgets to hold me and to be there for me, and I forget how to stay inside of me. I hope you understand this. So, yoga in India taught me to be grateful for everything, my pain, my work through, and my breakthroughs. So people a lot of times think that breakthroughs come like lightning, like, oh, a big aha moment and everything just changes. With trauma and my trauma, it didn't work that way at all. My healing didn't work anything like that. It was more like falling down 9 times and getting up 9 times, then falling again, getting up again. So my breakthroughs weren't these big, beautiful moments like you see in Hollywood films or whatever. No, they were quiet. They were really ugly a lot of times. They were definitely painful, hard, but brutally honest. And the moment I chose to get out of the bed, even when I didn't believe I could, the moment I showed up for a walk or sat in meditation when my brain screamed, not this time, you're not going to do it. I had to fight for every single one of these things, and I did it daily, hourly, and some days I felt strong, and some days I crumbled. But growth still happened, not in big wins, but in choices to show up again and again and again. So, no, I am not healed. I'm not finished. It is still painful to wake up. It's still painful to go to sleep at night. It is still painful to know that my dreams can sometimes pull me back in. And I have to go to the physio 27 times a year. And I still breathe through it all. Even my yoga poses, I feel the pain. Every time I work out, I have waves of doubt. Oh my God, this pain. Knowing now that my healing isn't about becoming who I was, but it's about building a relationship with who I am now. It is about showing my nervous system again and again it's safe to live in the here and now. I take the pain. I live with the pain. I go through the pain. So when you are watching this, maybe you're waking up with pain, stuck in the nights, the nights that won't end, wondering if your body will ever feel yours again. You're not alone. You're not weak. And you're not broken. You're in it. And that's where healing begins. I am still here. I am still walking. I'm still falling. I'm still talking, but I'm also still rising. So please tell your soul, take a breath. You won't break. Take your body back. Take your mind back. Take your strength back. And most of all, take your story back. Rewrite new chapters as your new you, not as your old you. Thank you for listening as long as you did. I don't know what to say anymore, I think. Um, and no, you don't need to like or subscribe unless, of course, it feels good to you. But if this spoke to you, to something inside of you, please feel free to share your story in the comments or just write me a text um, or reach out. Um, we're not meant to do this alone. So, yeah, I think I need to stop here. Thank you, everybody, and talk to you soon.